from the Dignity Health Studios of the Bakersfield, California, it's time to open up with real people, real talk about real stuff. And now, a special welcome to our friends throughout California, across the nation, and around the world to this week's edition of Open Up.
And here we go.
Good morning, everyone. I'm so delighted to be back. This is Open Up. I'm Tina Miller.
And I'm Don Clark. She's back from the Carolinas. We're so glad to have you back home, Tina.
Oh, I'm so glad to be back. I had a wonderful time. Don, I met two really fabulous people. Emmy award-winning news anchors in my home city of Rock Hill, South Carolina. I got to hold it. I got to take a picture with it.
Oh, my gosh.
So my new friends, my new two BFFs, Lucas McFadden and Laura Monday.
And I hope they're watching from the Carolinas.
Yes, of course.
I got nominated for an Emmy, but I never got it.
Oh. Well done. Nominating.
But I framed the nomination. I thought that was good enough.
So anyway, Don, and Robert got back from, Robert was in Hawaii, Japan, and Guam.
He was out cooking steaks for our troops out on an aircraft carrier. Robert
yes.
Miller. Love your husband.
Oh, so do I, Don. He had a great time. Just exciting. So here we are. I'm so glad to be back on Open Up, though.
Well, here we go. So as you know, we are just launching into our second year of this show.
Yes.
Tiptoed in the beginning, see if we liked it, see if you liked it, and the numbers continue to grow, and people around the country continuing to tune in. We're so grateful to all our friends out there, and including about 12 countries out there. So
yes. So
anyway, as you know, one of the premises of these shows is that we really want to be of encouragement to people who are going through hard times, and there's a lot of hard times out there. And one of those hard times is battling with addictions. And we have two men that are coming on this show later in the show that have won that victory. And you're going to hear about the wonderful, exciting life that's on the other side of winning that victory. But one of the most wonderful things about that victory and a wonderful life is travel. I mean, going to new and interesting places and exploring places around the world and closer to home. And we have the guy with us now that can really help us do exactly that. We're talking to Ron Bicklin of Kern Travel.
Correct.
Kern Travel, it's been around a long time.
1946 we opened the doors.
1946.
Yeah. 70 years almost, which is a long time for a small business to be in working order here. So, yeah.
And Ron, so many changes in that business. I mean, now you can go online, the whole thing. So, kind of start us out at the beginning, how it started, how you've grown, and then we'll bring us up to speed.
Okay. Well, originally the travel business, we were travel agents for the cruise lines, whatever you have. This was a long time ago. So we kind of worked for them. Over the years, the business has switched. We are now travel consultants for the consumer. And so it's our job to talk to the consumer, figure out what is the best thing for them, whether it be a cruise or a land tour or whatever it is that they're after, and then make sure that those arrangements are made properly. So we've gone from one side to the other. Now we're an advocate for the consumer.
Tell us about some of the most exciting places close at home that you find people here locally going to.
Well, I think we send a fair amount of people up to New York City. So that's, I don't know if that's close enough for you, but close at home, like the coast or Vegas or that sort of thing, people tend to do for themselves. So we aren't very involved in that sort of thing. They have to be going a little further than that before they get involved with a travel agent usually. So New York City, of course, down to Disney World, Miami, or Orlando, that whole area, into the Caribbean. So, and then Alaska is always very popular in the summer. So,
Ron, what is different about me picking my own travel versus you doing it for me?
Well, there's a couple of big differences. First of all, if you're picking your own travel, you don't necessarily know exactly what you're getting. So if you pick your own travel and you get to a destination and there's an issue, there is no one there for you. You're on your own. So as a travel agency, we have, first of all, experience. We know about destinations and about cruise lines and that sort of thing. And so we bring our tagline for the company is experience. Ours will make yours perfect. In my company, between four of us, we have over 100 years of experience in the travel business. So we've been a lot of places and helped a lot of people.
So take us to New York. What can you do for us once we hit the Big Apple?
Well, once you're in New York, obviously, what we normally do for people who are going to New York, because New York's a place where it's easy to kind of get around on your own, but it can be also a little bit intimidating. So generally, once we fly someone in there, get them to their accommodations, we like to have someone meet them at the airport and take them as opposed to just putting them into a taxi and letting them try and get there on their own, and then their accommodations. And then generally, they have in New York and many cities around the world, it's called a hop-on, hop-off tour. It's a double-decker bus, sightseeing tour. It goes around the major cities and stops at almost all of the major attractions within a city. There's a narrative while you're on the bus. When it stops, you can get off, spend some time at that attraction, and then catch the next bus and get on and continue your journey around the city. Usually they're good for like 48 hours, so you spend as much time as you want at your specific attraction. Gives you a good overview of the city, and then you can go back and do some exploring on your own because you feel more comfortable being there.
Ron, what are some of the most common perils that our travelers run into when they're abroad?
Unfortunately, the biggest one seems to be lost luggage. People who have, especially if you're going to Europe and you get into Europe and you're ready to go on, and your luggage doesn't arrive with you, sometimes it's hard for your luggage to catch up with you. So that's a big deal. We just had a client who had lost their luggage and never did get it back until after they got home. And we were able to track their luggage down, found out that instead of going to Munich, it went to San Diego. And it was in lost luggage in San Diego. But we did find it for them, and they eventually got it back. So that's probably the biggest peril is lost luggage or getting somewhere and not finding what you expected to be there.
One facet of Ron Bicklin's personality is that he's a singer. He performs in a lot of musicals here in town. And my sister and I did it on our own in New York and made the mistake of getting some scalp tickets to a musical, and they said, "Oh, the seats are great." And we ended up in the far corner of the top balcony. We couldn't even squeeze in.
Yep.
It was so bad that they were embarrassed and actually gave us a box seat, one of the best seats in the house.
Really?
But anyway,
you were fortunate.
You can
they
really
must
go
know who
wrong.
You were.
Yeah.
So, Ron, do you have travel where you provide a tour guide on?
We do sometimes. There are travel packages that you can buy. We call them escorted tours, where a guide travels with you. We sometimes, someone from our agency will go with a group of people locally. We just had one of our agents, Shay, who took a group to France, to Normandy for the 75th anniversary of D-Day. And so she just returned. So she traveled with a local group and stayed with them the entire time. I think one of the things that we're finding most popular right now is what we call unique experience, where someone comes to us and they want to do something that's not of the norm, and they don't want to do it with 40 other people. So it's one or two couples, and then we plan exactly what they want. We have offices in 80 countries around the world where we can communicate with them and get very specific things that the client wants. So cooking school in Tuscany, we had some clients, two couples.
Yes.
The women were very into shoes. We got them into a private tour of the Ferragamo Museum.
Hello, Ferragamo.
Yeah,
Yes.
so just things like that you can't normally get on your own.
Yes,
we have the
yes.
contacts in the destination that can help us with that kind of thing.
I like you so much, Ron. Oh, isn't this just exciting, Don?
What are some of
Travel.
the other and really most exotic things that you've done and planned?
Well, safari. Obviously, that's always very exotic. People going on safari, and it's one of those things where you really do need to. It's not something you should plan on your own. It's a little more difficult when you're in the African countries and having to get from A to B. I just sent a woman to hike Kilimanjaro. Mount Kilimanjaro. I've sent a client down to Antarctica to do the exploration with the penguins and stuff. So 2 years ago, I had a group of Rotarians who went to the convention in Bangkok and before did an elephant safari through Thailand. So the travel business is very exciting because it's always new. You never know it all. You're always learning.
Yes.
I have to ask you about learning. Do you have like intellectual tours? I mean, if someone wants to trace the history of an idea as it's gone from London to Scotland or something like that, and the men who developed that idea, the philosophers, and where their thoughts are recorded and archived. Do you do that kind of thing?
Generally, there are things like that out there. BBC America, or BBC has a whole series of tours. National Geographic has a whole series of tours. Where
and you're tied into those.
Absolutely. We can get those. And the other thing is, if it's something specific that we can't find a tour, then we can definitely get the people in that country to put that together for you with that very specific idea in mind. You want to trace these person's footsteps.
Tell us some more before we have to say bye to you.
Cruising is also still very big, and now, every time you turn around, there's a new ship coming out, and they're bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they have more things on board, and they go all over the world. So it's easy to get on a cruise and see most every place. The hottest new thing, however, to the United States at least, is river cruising through Europe, and it's now become my favorite way to travel. It's because you're on a river, so you're always within sight of land. It's not rough. You don't get seasick. And it always pulls up in docks right in town, so it's easy to get off and walk around and explore the city on your own. The last one I went on, we went to a town that was like 500 people, and we went to Avignon in France, which is the second largest city, and everything in between. Always has a tour guide with you, so it's great.
Is the cost comparable?
The cost is a little bit more expensive. For a couple of reasons. First of all, it's basically 150 people or less, so the ships are much smaller, much more detailed to attention, and much more is included. The lines include everything, all of your food and drink. Sightseeing tours every day are included, so there's a lot. It's more all-inclusive.
Ron Bicklin, Kern Travel. I think we got a little information. There it is, Kern Travel. Very easy website, kerntravel.com. There's the number, 872-3940. I mean, take advantage of people who really know the world and can help you really know the world. Ron, great to have you on.
Yes.
Look forward to seeing you in a musical one of these days here in town. And,
we'll see.
Yes, or traveling with you.
What a great company. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank
we're
you.
going to be right back, and you're going to hear from two guys who have really come through hard times. The struggles, we all know, the struggles with addiction can be so daunting, but who've come out the other side to real victory and exciting, wonderful lives. I think you're going to be really encouraged. We'll be right back.